tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, last time we learned about the 4 dwellings of the Brahmas, didn't we? We learned about loving kindness, actually more on loving kindness, how to practice loving kindness. Then what else did we learn? We learned how to practice compassion, altruistic joy, and also equanimity. So these things we learn, we have to practice. Without practice, yourself and the Dhamma, they do not merge. Or if the Dhamma will be separate from you and your life. So then you will not benefit from the Dhamma. So have you been practicing at least someone to some extent?
Yes.
Huh? Because all of these 4 meditations, you can practice them in any posture. In any posture, even when you are working, traveling to work, if you are walking or doing daily activities, routine, daily things, helping out with your parents' work, tidying up your room, the daily chores you would do, still you can contemplate upon these meditations. Somehow you have to do this because no one else is going to do this for you. That's not it how it works. So the inclination, the tendency, your urge for the practice is dependent on how you have practiced the teachings of the Buddha or merits, good deeds, good actions in your samsaric journey. Those who have a more tendency to practice good, practice by the teachings of the Buddha, means in the samsaric journey, they have done this more often. So if you find it difficult to keep the precepts, to practice meditation, engage in meritorious activities, which means that is you have not practiced this in your samsaric journey. Even still you have to do it now. If you lose out on this opportunity, it's not going to get any easier down the road. So it's up to you to get it done. Your parents can't do for you. Do it for your parents, your friends, your relatives, your brother, sister. No one else can help you out in regard to that. You have to do it yourself. And then we do not know our background, like from where we have come. Do you know? Anyone from Deva's world? You don't know. Brahma world? You don't know. Like here, there may be people from the Brahma world or the Devas world, some from the Naga world, some from the hell worlds, some from the ghost world. So if you have come from the Naga world, then those characteristics are with you. The tendency to again being reborn there is also even more. Because like say in the case of a Naga, they are more prone to doubt, regret. They regret a lot. So if you are prone to regret, then you are practicing the qualities of what? A naga. That is an animal realm. There's much suffering there. Then you will be again reborn there. And if you are easily prone to anger, if there is acute lust, these are also characteristics of a naga. Then if you let these qualities flourish within you, if you nurture these qualities, if you do not abandon these qualities in your life, then you are creating an environment where the nagas from their world, they can influence you. And then you will again be reborn there. But the nature of the teachings of the Buddha is here, once you come across the teachings of the Buddha, you get a chance to change your demeanor, these ingrained habits, like these habituations. Because we are habituated to the past life, the things we have done. So if you practice the Noble Eightfold Path, you can break this pattern. If a person has come from the Devas world, then what are the qualities that is apparent in that person? What qualities do the Devas possess? Shraddha, confidence in the Buddha, virtue, then Dhamma, knowledge, generosity, wisdom. The 5 powers of training are qualities that the Devas possess. So there will be a natural tendency in you to practice and base yourself in these 5 qualities. No matter what world you may have come, if you base yourself in these 5 qualities, then the Devas, you will have the protection of the Devas, then you will be living a life that will then, after the death, you will be able to be reborn there in the heavenly worlds. So that is why Buddha said to practice Devatanusati. That is contemplating upon the qualities that Devas possess. That is the 5 powers of the training, the Seka Bala. So how do you practice Devatanusati? Contemplation upon the qualities of the Deva. You think these Devas, they are born in the heavenly world because they possess these 5 qualities. Shraddha, confidence in the Buddha, virtue, Dhamma, knowledge, generosity, and wisdom. Just as the Devas possess these 5 qualities, I too now cultivate and practice these 5 qualities. Therefore, I am worthy of being reborn in the Devas. In this way, you have to contemplate. It's a meditation in itself, Devatanusati. Then, we never know when we will die. Any moment it can happen. And then the tendency is there for you to be born among the Devas. If you are a person who gives in to lust, if there is acute lust in you, or you are more prone to anger, and you always live regretting things, you are prone to regret, then you are fostering qualities of a Naga serpent. And that is where you will be born. Or in the Akka world, or among the ghosts. So the qualities of the Deva is very unique. They are always based on the 5 powers of the training. Therefore, you have to be very mindful in the way you conduct yourself. Always base your actions by body, speech, and mind in accordance with the teachings of the Buddha. Or else, then you will lose out on this opportunity, and again you will be born in the 4 plagues of the misery. Because if you are born, if you are born among the Nagas, they have a very long lifespan. And surely you will miss out on the next Buddha's dispensation. Say if you fail to achieve a fruition of the path here in the Gautama Buddha's dispensation, if you are born in the Nagas world, surely you are going to miss the, say, the next Buddha, who is the Metta Maitri Buddha. So then you never know when a Buddha would arise in this world. So it's a huge loss. But if you are born among the Devas, there is a huge chance for you to realize the teachings of the Buddha in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. That is why no matter how busy you may be, like you may have studies or work or your day-to-day work that you have to get done, family responsibilities, whatever, your main priority should be to practice the Dhamma, because you are not going to come across an ideal situation. That is never going to happen. You have to make the best of the opportunity you have got. That is the only way that you can develop a life, like develop certain qualities that will bring about a good rebirth among the Deva. So if you are lucky, if you can attain the jhanas in the Brahma world also. So today I thought we will learn a sutta that helps us to develop our meditation by abandoning the unwholesome states that arise in our mind. So the Buddha, when he taught this Dhamma, he taught the Dhamma through realization. Buddha said, having realized, I teach you how to realize. Having seen the origin of all these things, I teach you of the origin. And I have realized the miracles. And it is based on these miracles I teach you. What are the 3 miracles the Buddha possessed? He possessed Irdhipatyara, we say, the miracle of supernormal powers. Then we say Adesana Pratyahara. Buddha had the ability to read others' minds. And by reading others' mind, he could teach accordingly. That's how they realized Buddha's teachings. Then Buddha had the special quality of Anusasani Pratyahara. That is the ability to teach in a way any person can realize the Dhamma, because Buddha had his special vision, the vision of the Buddha, consisting of 2 aspects. What is? Indriya Paro Pariyatta Jnana, the ability to see how a person has cultivated certain qualities that is conducive to understanding the Dhamma, like Shraddha, effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. In his sansaric journey, his practice, his effort to develop the wholesome. Buddha can see how these things are there, and Buddha can ignite, kindle that wisdom, that light within that person, so he realizes the Dhamma. So only a Buddha has that ability. He can see the strengths of the person and also the weaknesses. So accordingly, he teaches the Dhamma. And Buddha knew the problem with the people. Buddha said once, like, Avijjaya Nyuto Lokyo, that means these people of the world, they are covered by ignorance, but they do not realize. He says here, Vevicha Pamada Nappakasati, because of their greed and heedlessness. That means they are not diligent in the practice of the Dhamma, and because of their greediness, they do not realize that they are covered by ignorance. They fail to realize that. And Buddha says, Jappahi lepanang brumi. This person's life is decorated by what? Craving. He crave for things. And he decorate his life with the things that he crave. Isn't that so? Everything, say, in your house, Aren't they things you crave for? The furniture, the equipment, the cloth you wear, the people you associate with, your all your family, your loved ones, they are things you crave for. And they become the decoration of your life. That is why Buddha says, you decorate your life with craving these people of the world. Dukkha massa mahabhayam. The great danger, the great fear in that person's life is what? Suffering. Because all beings love happiness. They despise suffering and they fear suffering. How true is the teachings of the Buddha, isn't it? So then Buddha said, Savanti sabbadi sota. So from these six senses, there are flaws, six currents. What are the currents? That means these currents, because always these six senses, we are open to the outer world. We are the six senses. And therefore, always this, we are open to the sansaric journey because we create karma. When we experience with these six senses, when we interact with these six senses, with the outer world, the environment, we create karma all the time. So it is like a current that drags us in the sansaric journey. Sati tesang nivaranang. It is with mindfulness that you have to stop this current, this flow, this current that drags you in the sansaric journey. You have to stop it. You should stem the current with what? Mindfulness. Panyayati pitire. And you have to dry it out with wisdom. This current has to be dried out, this water. The strong current has to be dried out with wisdom. So in this way, Buddha has taught us how to do this. And even in this sutta, we learn the method. So you have to retain, you have to understand, and you have to put it in practice. That is the only way you can. That is actually having a refuge. That is why you sought refuge in the Buddha, the Samma and Sangha. That is the meaning. Refuge is a place of protection, place of shelter, place free from suffering, a place of happiness. That is the meaning of refuge. That is why we go for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And Buddha said once, monks, even in the past, if a person was to order in the Buddha's dispensation, it is to realize the Four Noble Truths. That was the only goal. Even in the future, if a person were to order in this dispensation out of faith, confidence, saddha, it is to realize the Four Noble Truths. Even in the present day, it's the same. So it is one goal, that is to realize the Four Noble Truths. That is why we learn these teachings of the Buddha. So now when a person comes, hear the teachings of the Buddha, or arrive at this Buddha's dispensation, or get interested in these teachings of the Buddha, still he is a person with defilements. And those defilements he possesses at that moment, those are the very things that is going to be the obstacles for him in the practice. But still, by the teachings of the Buddha, by practicing according to the teachings of the Buddha, you have the chance to overcome these defilements. And today in this sutta, this in the middle end discourses, the name of the sutta is the Vitakkasanthana Sutta. Buddha teaches us five ways by which you can abandon the unwholesome states that arise in your mind. If you are able to learn and put into practice these five methods by which you can abandon the unwholesome, then by doing so, you are practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. And then you are gradually giving yourself the opportunity to attain the fruition of stream entry. Okay? So we will see the name of Sutta is Vitakkasanthana Sutta. In the middle end discourses, the first 50, the 20th Sutta. The removal of distracting thoughts, that is the English translation. So this is how it goes. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. There he addressed the bhikkhus in this manner, because when a bhikkhu is pursuing the higher mind, what does it mean to pursue the higher mind? Huh? That means when you try to develop your mind to calm and insight meditation. You try to subdue the hindrances and develop your mind through calm and insight meditation. How does calm meditation, calmness or serenity meditation help you? What is the purpose of serenity meditation? Can anyone say the purpose? What is the purpose of serenity meditation?
To understand Dhamma, Bhante?
Uh, no. Anyone else?
To see things as they really are, one thing.
No.
Bhante,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
calm the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. What does it mean? Like, what happens when you calm the mind? Serenity meditation or samatha, it helps you to
See,
develop your mind. Okay. Ray, did you say something?
I was going to say to see the arising of thoughts and how they just appear and then pass away.
No, not exactly. Like with calm meditation, you subdue the five hindrances. And when you do that, the mind develops. Develops in the sense, then it is not drawn to the desire. It's not prone to the urges of the desire. Okay. Your craving is to some extent, it is stifled. It's under control when you practice samatha. That's the idea of serenity meditation. That's the purpose. It is with vipassana or insight meditation that you can see the arising and cessation. What we say, the reality of things, the exact nature of things. It can be seen through insight meditation, which helps you to develop your wisdom. And Buddha said, it is through samatha and vipassana, calm and insight meditation, that you have to develop wisdom together. If a person does not choose this path of calm and insight meditation, he will lose his wisdom gradually. Wisdom is also impermanent. If you practice calm and insight meditation, wisdom develops. If he does not practice calm and insight meditation, then what happens? Wisdom declines gradually. So that is why meditation should be an integral part of your life. You have to incorporate it in your life. If not, whatever wisdom you have, it will gradually diminish over time. Do you want that to happen? Because the teachings of the Buddha are for the wise. Once Buddha said, it doesn't matter if you have everything in the world. If you don't have wisdom, no use. It doesn't matter if you have nothing. You may have nothing, but if you have wisdom, that's all you need. That much importance is there for wisdom. So if you want wisdom, want to develop wisdom, if you crave for wisdom, if you desire wisdom, you have to practice calm and insight meditation. You have to contemplate according to the teachings of the Buddha, wise consideration. Then wisdom grows. That is the way. Then you have to engage in Dhamma discussions. You have to ask what is correct, what is wrong, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, what is good and bad. You have to go to monks and ask these questions. And that karma helps you to become wise, said the Buddha. In the Subha Sutta, people in their past lives, if they have gone to ascetics and brahmins, monks and recluses and asked these questions, what is right, what is wrong, what is evil, what is good, what is bad. Likewise, when you question, you get educated. You can develop wisdom in that manner, and that create a karma for you to be reborn as a wise person. That is why in this life, if you engage in Dhamma discussions, if you ask questions and you clarify your Dhamma knowledge, if you gain more and more wisdom, you will be born as a wise Deva. There's no point in being reborn as human though. Why? You can see the decline, the degrading of the qualities in the human life. So once when you come back into the human world, there is no conducive environment for the practice of the Buddha. So we are actually, this is the final moment, the last chance we have, all of us. If we miss out on this, we'll never have a chance. Only regret will be there. Say if you are born among the serpents, the nagas thing, just regret, oh, I missed out on the opportunity. So don't fall into that category. So now that we have the chance, somehow we have to try to practice the teachings. So pursuing the higher mind is to subdue the hindrances and develop meditation. That is the meaning, okay? From time to time, he should give attention to 5 signs. Who? A person who is intent on pursuing a higher mind, developing his mind through meditation. He should from time to time give attention, focus on 5 things. Okay, what are the 5 now we are going to learn? Here, bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu is giving attention to, this is the first thing he has to focus on. That means this is actually the first way by which you can abandon unwholesome thoughts that arise in your mind. Here, bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu is giving attention to some sign, and owing to that sign, there arise in him evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, with hate and with delusion, then he should give attention to some other sign connected with what is wholesome. That means, so we have the 6 senses, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. And with the eye, we perceive sounds, eye forms. With the ear, we perceive sounds. From the nose, smells. From the tongue, tastes. From the body, tangibles. And with the mind, mind objects. So say, when you see a certain form, okay, and with unwise consideration, because there is ignorance, no, always there is ignorance. Until you realize the Dhamma fully, there is ignorance. Because of the ignorance, when you see a certain form, and when it is coupled with unwise consideration, there can arise in you either greed or anger or delusion. Any of these defilements can arise within you. Why? Because of ignorance and unwise consideration. They are present. If there is wise consideration, though there is ignorance, there will not arise greed, anger, and delusion. Because wise consideration is there. But when there is unwise consideration, when you see a certain form, there will arise greed, anger, or delusion. So that is what it says, when you see that when I am focusing on this form, or it can be a sound, or it can be a taste or tangible or whatever, when you see mindfully that greed arises within you, or anger arises within you, or delusion arises within you, you have to first mindfully identify that. This is the state of defilement that is in my mind at this moment. First is identification. To identify, there has to be mindfulness and wisdom. Without that, you can identify the defiled state. Then Buddha advises you to, when you see that this is the state of the mind and this defiled state has arisen in your mind, what you have to do, because now you are a person who is practicing meditation now. So you have to keep your mind always calm, always pure, and not let the mind get disturbed or agitated. So that is your focus, that is your goal. So that is why you are always mindful of what is going on in your mind. So you mindfully realize, okay, because of unwise consideration, because I have given attention to this object, this external object, this sound, tangible or whatever, they have arisen a defiled state in my mind. Now you identify that mindfully. Then Buddha says, when he gives attention to some other sign connected with what is wholesome, then any evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, with hate, and with delusion are abandoned in him and subside. So if you want to get rid of that unwholesome state, that defiled state of the mind, Buddha said, change your object, change your focus. Okay? Say now someone comes and scolds you. Okay? And you are now angry because that person scolded you. And there is unwise consideration. You keep thinking along those lines. Okay, that person scolded me. Likewise, it is not fair to do so because I was not wrong. It was not my fault. Likewise, these are all what? Unwise consideration. So this train of thoughts have given rise to anger. You have to understand this train of thoughts is wrong. This unwise consideration. Because of this train of thoughts, they have arisen anger within me. Now I have to get rid of this anger and calm my mind, clear my mind. You have to understand that. Then what would the advice here is to change your train of thoughts by shifting the object without focusing on that object that gave rise to anger. What you have to do is you have to focus on another object. That is what? Loving kindness. You practice loving kindness. Then Buddha said, when you in this way change the train of thoughts from thoughts of anger to thoughts of loving kindness, your mind calms down. Then any evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, with hate, and with delusion are abandoned in him and subside. With the abandoning of them, his mind becomes steadied internally, quieted, brought to singleness and concentration. So the mind calms down. And that unwholesome state, it goes away. The mind gets subdued. That state is removed. So it can be anger or lust. You see a certain form, and because of unwise consideration, how does lust arise in a person? How does lust arise in a person? Can someone say?
Subha Nimitta and Ayoniso Manasika.
Yeah, Subha Nimitta and that is, there is a certain sign that is present. We perceive it as being present, and there is unwise consideration. So then you think of that thing, you focus on the gratification of that present object. Focusing on the gratification is unwise consideration. If you focus on the danger, the foulness, then that is wise consideration. So focusing on the foulness means you again change the train of thoughts by focusing on gratification to focusing on the danger. In this way, you can abandon lust. So this the first method is Buddha encourage you to change the train of thoughts by shifting your focus. With regard to anger, we shifted from thoughts of anger to thoughts of loving kindness. With regard to lust, we shift from thoughts on contemplating on the gratification to thoughts of contemplating on the asubha, the foulness of that present object. In this way, we can abandon lust. So this is what Buddha points out as the first method by which you can abandon greed, anger, or delusion. And Buddha gives a nice simile to understand how this is done. The simile is, think of just as a skilled carpenter or his apprentice might knock out, remove and extract a coarse peg by means of a fine one So too, when a bhikkhu gives attention to some other sign connected with what is wholesome, his mind becomes steadied, internally quieted, brought to singleness and concentrated. That means think of a flank, okay, and there is a nail drawn into the flank. So then you don't have any tools, a hammer or anything else, but you have to remove this nail. It's a coarse, like a coarse peg, a coarse nail. Maybe that nail is bigger. You are given a finer nail to remove the nail that is drawn to the plank. Is that an easy thing? To remove a nail with another fine nail. Have you done that? Have you attempted that? No. It's difficult. The practice is the same. Here the coarse peg or the nail that is drawn to the flank is the unwholesome state that has drawn into your mind, that is pricked into your mind, and you have to remove that with what? A wholesome state. The anger has to be removed with loving kindness. Lust has to be removed with asubha, contemplating upon the foulness. That is the fine nail by which you remove the bigger nail that is drawn into the plank, that is your mind. You don't have any other tool. Only the unwholesome state, the wholesome object you choose. So that means there has to be constant effort, and it is no easy task. So that is the first method, the first simile Buddha gives. You change the train of thoughts by focusing on another object, shifting the object from one connected with the unwholesome to one connected with the wholesome. That is the first method by which you abandon unwholesome states that arise in the mind. I think that's clear, no? So the next is Buddha said, if while he is giving attention to some other sign connected with what is wholesome, that means when he is doing this, that when he is shifting his focus, still Buddha said there can arise a defiled state. There still arise in him evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire. That means the first method doesn't work out. Still the anger arises in your mind. Then he should examine the danger in those thoughts. So this is the second method, to examine the danger. He thinks these thoughts are unwholesome. They are reprehensible. They result in suffering. So in this way, you have to contemplate upon the dangers of harboring greed in your mind, danger of harboring anger, danger of harboring jealousy, danger of harboring conceit, danger of harboring avariceness, like envy, like all these thoughts, defiled thoughts. There is a danger. What is the danger? Any moment your mind is under the influence of these defiled states, you are creating bad karma that will ripen either in the hell world, animal world, ghost world, or the Titans world. Because we learn in the Sampasadhana Sutta, what did we learn of this mind, the consciousness? It is a base here and then other life also, no? Not only in this life, but in the next life also is based. Vijnana Sotang is like a current that flows constantly from this to the next life. So the moment you die, you are reborn. So that means when you harbor state of unwholesome here, there is karma creating that bring about birth in the forbade destination. That is why, in Vimanavattu, there is instances where the person is offering a mains, like offering a kuti to the Sangha in the human world. But there are mains spontaneously appearing in the heavenly worlds. Why is that? Karma. Because that person's consciousness is based here and also in the heaven. Like there is this connection. Only in the Arhats, there is no rebirth, there is no connection, because the dependent origination, Paticcasamuppada, is eradicated, like it's not there. So in other beings, always the consciousness is based here and also in the next life. So if you harbor thoughts of unwholesome, defiled state in your mind, you are creating bad karma that you alone will have to suffer. Because definitely you have to suffer in the four bad destinations. If it is anger that you have given into, you can't eradicate anger in, can't suffer that in the heavenly worlds, can you? Heavenly worlds, the karma is only good karma you experience there. Try to understand the gravity of this situation. Definitely you have to bear that karma in the four bad destinations. Because now when you give into anger, when you give into lust or any other wholesome state, there is some pleasure there, some gratification. It is this gratification that lets you that is why you keep that state with you. That is why you do not arouse energy, because there is some gratification there. But you have to focus on the danger, because the danger is far more. So in this way, you have to understand your predicament and act according to the teachings of the Buddha. So Buddha said, think of the danger, because you have to suffer the consequences. Think how much you have suffered in the greed because of your greed, anger, and delusion in the past samsaric journey. On many millions times, you have born in the four bad destinations again and again and again. Why? Because of greed, anger, delusion. Buddha said more often than not, like Buddha said, just as you would go somewhere and come back to your house, that is where you come again and again. No, you go to work, you come to your house. You go on a trip, you again return to your home. Likewise, the house, the home is the place you return again and again. Likewise, the four bad destinations are the places that beings go again and again to. It's like your home. Realia is a person born in the human world, or among the devas, or among the brahmas. That is the truth of life. Fortunately, because we learned the teachings of the Buddha, we were able to hear of these things, or else how to know? So in this way, Buddha says, focus on the danger of harboring such unwholesome thoughts. When he examines the danger in those thoughts, then any evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, with hate and with delusion, abandon in him and subside. When that happens, with the abandoning of them, his mind becomes steadied internally, quieted, brought to singleness and concentrated. So you are constantly you are keeping your mind clean. So there is always a conducive environment for meditation, because you are not fueling your hindrances. If you give in to any of these defiled states, you are fueling the hindrances, desire for sensual pleasure, ill will, and the lazy and lethargic state of the mind, regret, restlessness, doubt. All of these, they foster, they flourish when they are defiled states. That is why, like just as you would clean your room, periodically, if you don't clean your room, what does it happen? Does it become a place where you can pleasantly abide? No. Likewise, if you do not constantly keep your mind clean, devoid of unwholesome states, then you can't meditate. You don't even feel to sit for meditation. Why? The hindrances are powerful, they are strong. And when you try to meditate, it would be like flogging a dead horse. What happens when you're flogging a dead horse? Would it respond? No. No matter how hard you try, your mind will not develop. Meditation becomes very, very difficult. That is why this practice is once you sitting and meditation is one thing, but it has to extend to your day-to-day life. How? How do you extend? Because you're always mindful of what goes on in your mind. You always arouse effort to abandon the unwholesome and establish yourself in the wholesome. So just as we learn in the Mahachattarisika Sutta about the Noble Eightfold Path, always these three is there. Right intention is there, right view is there, right effort is there, right mindfulness is there. Those three aspects always work together. It is with right view that you understand this is unwholesome state. It is with right mindfulness that you see this is a defiled state. It is with right effort that you abandon the defiled state and establish yourself in an wholesome state. See how these things, how these suttas, all they easily, there you can easily see how they fit in, no? There is no discrepancy among the teachings of the Buddha. There is a purpose, a final goal, that is to purify your mind. And each sutta complements the other sutta. If you study the suttas diligently, you can see that throughout the suttas. So in this way, you have to focus. First thing we learn, what is the first way by which you can abandon the unwholesome and base yourself in the wholesome, is to change the train of thoughts by shifting your focus, the object of focus. Second is to focus on the danger of harboring the unwholesome states of mind. So the simile the Buddha gives there is, it is like, just as a man or a woman, young, youthful, and fond of ornaments, would be horrified, humiliated, and disgusted if the carcass of a snake or a dog or a human being were hung around his or her neck. So like it's a very graphic and a strong simile, isn't it? So that is how it is. If you are harboring a state of a defiled state in your mind, that is like if you are letting a carcass of a snake or a dog or a human to hang around your neck, your life is going to stink. Would you want to such a thing to hang around your neck for even a split second? Huh? So Buddha wants you to arouse that kind of repulsiveness towards what? Unwholesome states. It's a very strong simile that you have to bear in mind. So that is how you should treat the unwholesome states that arouse in your mind, just as a carcasses of a snake, a dog, or a human. So would you say like, let it be for one moment, like say some minutes, or would you instantly remove the carcass? You will instantly remove. Likewise, you have to instantly remove the unwholesome state before it stinks your life, before it defiles your mind, before you lose your purity of the mind. Because when an unwholesome state creep into your mind, the mind get agitated, the mind get polluted, and the hindrances get fueled, and meditation becomes difficult. That means your state of your mind declines rapidly. It degrades. So in this way, when a bhikkhu examines the danger in those thoughts, his mind becomes steadied internally, quieted, brought to singleness, and concentrated. Okay, then and there, the mind gets stabilized. So then Buddha said, even when you do this, if while he examines the danger in those thoughts, there still arise in him evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, hate, or delusion. Still, the defilements can come. So like say, it is anger that arises in your mind. You try the first method. You try to practice loving kindness. That doesn't work. Then the second method you try. You think of the danger of harboring anger, but still anger doesn't go away. Again and again, anger rises to the surface. Then you have to try the third method. Buddha said, then he should try to forget those thoughts and should not give attention to them. You should not pay attention to those thoughts. That means if it's a person who's scolded, a person who's had made you angry, then you should not think of that person. You should not think of that incident. You should not talk of it. You should just let it go. So these are the skills of the mind. The mind has this ability. The mind can shift the train of thoughts. The mind can focus on the danger and let it go. Or the mind can simply not pay attention to that incident or that whatever thing happened. That is another way of getting rid of the unwholesome state. So Buddha, he clearly understood the skills of the mind, the defects of the mind also. So this is why he say, like, you can try this. Definitely by these ways you can abandon the unwholesome, the defiled states of the mind. So in this way you can just forget it without paying attention, without paying any heed to those unwholesome thoughts. And Buddha gave a nice simile. And it says, like, when he tries to forget those thoughts and does not give attention to them, then again any evil, unwholesome connected with desire, with hate and with desire, delusion abandoned in him and subsides. So the mind gets concentrated once again. So do not pay attention to whatever sign that is connected with that gave rise to this defiled state. If you see something and lust arises in you, then if you keep thinking of that person or that thing, again and again lust will arise in you. So you should forget, not pay attention to that. And then gradually the defiled state will subside. That is the meaning there. And the simile Buddha gave is, just as a man with good eyes who did not want to see forms that had come within range of sight would either shut his eyes or look away. So that's what we do now when there's something that we see, something that we do not like, that makes us sad. What do? We look away. So if you see an accident on your way to work, sometimes you don't want to see that. No, you look away because you feel upset when then you see that. Likewise, if there are certain things, objects that may give rise to defiled states in your mind, what you have to do is you should not pay attention. Shut your eyes. Likewise, you shut your mind to that thing. You do not pay attention. You do not focus upon that. You do not contemplate upon that. So then gradually that unwholesome state also subside. And the mind again gets internally steadied, quieted, brought to singleness and concentrated. So in this way, you are always keeping your mind clear. You keeping the hindrances subdued. So anytime you are ready to sit and meditate, because the mind is pure. The hindrances are not strong. They do not have the nourishment. So then you meditate and the hindrances further weaken. Likewise, gradually you can attain samadhi. So that is why the practice is something you do all throughout the day. Not you can sit for half an hour. And then if you just keep living the day, giving into the unwholesome states of the mind, then no point in meditation. There has to be a methodical approach to the practice. You should always be mindful of what the states of your mind and always establish yourself in the wholesome states and not give into the unwholesome. And Buddha says, even then, even while he is trying to forget those thoughts and is not giving attention to them, they are still arising in evil, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, hate, and delusion. Then he should give attention to still in the thought formation of those thoughts. So that means it is not easy to abandon the unwholesome. That is why even in the time of the Buddha, this is how those monks did. How the lay people attained fruits of the path. By their own effort. We think like even if you were born in the time of the Buddha, we too would have easily realized the Dhamma. There is no such thing. Everyone put in the effort. What they had was, they had a more conducive environment, of course. The Buddha was there, The Arahants were there. There were no wrong views with regard to Dhamma as we have now. And there were many who had attained the fruits of the path among the lay people and also among the monks also. So the dispensation had flourished, and the Buddha and the Arahants were there. The influence of the non-humans as we have today for the practice, that is not there. So the conducive environment was there, but today that is not the case. The only thing today we have is the teachings, just as they were in the time of the Buddha. Even today, the teachings are preserved. So if we live in accordance with the teachings, still we can reap the benefits. So effort you have to put in. Those people in the time of the Buddha, they had very powerful merits that they had accrued throughout in the samsaric journey. So in the time of the Buddha, when Buddha arose in the world, people who had in his samsaric journey, when he was perfecting the qualities, the parami, perfecting the perfections, fulfilling the perfection needed to attain Buddhahood, along with him, the others, the monks, the arahants, they also came with him, fulfilling good qualities, fostering good qualities. And they were also reborn from the Devas world and the Brahma worlds, they were reborn in the human world. And they also benefited from the teachings of the Buddha. So they had accrued a lot of merits in the samsaric journey to realize the Dhamma. Likewise, what we lack is the power of merit. That is why we find it difficult to arouse the effort needed to stifle the defiled states that arise in our mind. That is why while we try to practice what we learn without giving up, we should always be heedful and diligent to do meritorious deeds, to practice dana, to practice virtue, to attend to monks, and any way by which you can accrue merits. Loving kindness is a very good way to accrue merits. So in this way, you have to keep this stream of merits flowing into your life. And that is going to one day help. So there had been a Deva, okay? From time to time, our teacher, like, he tells us incidents of when like Devas have connected and they tell certain things that by which you can learn. There was a Deva who in the Kasyapa Buddha's dispensation, this Deva had listened to the teaching of the Buddha. But he was not wise enough to understand the teachings. But he loved the Dhamma. He didn't give up his effort. He desired to understand the Dhamma. He was not wise enough. But he said, I didn't give up. I kept practicing dana. I kept giving dana to the monks. I kept practicing virtue. Those two things I did. He practiced dana and sila. But he was not wise enough. He couldn't understand the teachings. But then he was born among the Devas world. And having born there, when our Buddha came to this human world and attained Buddhahood as Buddha Gautama, he was born as a human and he listened to the Dhamma from Arahant Punna Maharatan Vanse. And he realized the fruits of the path. Because of what? Because he accrued merit by giving dana and being virtuous, and he always loved the Dhamma. So though you may not understand what we learn in these classes or what you read, do not give up your desire to realize the Dhamma. Do not give up your fondness for the Dhamma. Keep listening. Keep trying to understand. Do not give up. One day you will benefit from that. So therefore he was able to realize the fruits of the path. Now he is a Deva, a Sotapanna Deva in the heavenly world. Likewise, it is with your own effort that you have to somehow benefit from the Buddha's dispensation without giving up on. Okay. So the next way by which you can abandon these unwholesome thoughts is Buddha says, you have to still the thought formation. Okay. So that means, like, say, if your anger has arisen in you or lust has arisen in you, you have to focus on the thought formation. How did this defiled state arise in the mind? If it is because of something you saw, then you have to think there is the I. There's because of, like, first it is unwise consideration and ignorance that is there. There is always apparent. And then if you thought unwise consideration, you thought unwisely of what you saw. And because of the I and the form, there arises I consciousness. And unification of these three give rise to eye contact. With the eye contact as the condition, then there arises what? Perception, feeling, no, contact, feeling, and then the thoughts. Because of contact, there arises the feeling and the thoughts, and also, of course, perception. So in this way, you see the thought formation, the process, like the volition, the sanskar of how these things come about. You see the cause and effect phenomena. There is the I, there is the form, there is the eye consciousness, unification of these three, eye contact, and because of contact, there arise feeling, and there arises then perception. Then there is the thoughts, the formation of thoughts that continuously arise because of seeing that form. So in this way, when you break it down, you remove the self-view aspect. You don't see it as a self. You do not experience that thing as a self, but you break it down. And when you do that, you are stilling your thought process effectively. That's what happens. Then you should give attention to stilling the thought formation of those thoughts, because now you are seeing how these thoughts form. When he gives attention to stilling the thoughts, formation of these thoughts, then any evil unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, with hate, and with delusion are abandoned in him and subside. And then again his mind gets steadied internally, quieted, and concentrated. So in this manner, you can also abandon the defiled states that arise in your mind by stilling your thought process. Is that clear? With regard to the ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, it's the same. You see how did the defiled state arise. Okay, then you see how the internal senses, the external senses, they come together because of consciousness, and how that unification of all that give rise to contact, and because of contact, the feeling, the perception, and then the thoughts. You see how the defiled thoughts arise in the mind. So when you see this conditional phenomena, how this phenomena comes to be, then your mind gets steadied internally. So here, this is the simile Buddha gives, a beautiful simile again. Just as a man walking fast might consider, why am I walking fast? What if I walk slowly? And thinking so, he walks slowly. And while walking slowly, he thinks, why do I walk? Better to stand. So he just stands. Then he thinks, why am I standing? What if I sit? And then he sits. Then he thinks, why am I sitting? Better still if I lie down. So what he does is, gradually he is changing his posture from a grosser posture to a subtle posture. Likewise, when you contemplate upon how these thoughts in the mind are formed, the unwholesome state is very gross. And when you in this way contemplate upon how these unwholesome thoughts arouse in the mind, you can shift your mind to subtle thoughts of unwholesome. That means the unwholesome thoughts gradually decline. That is why Buddha says the stilling of thoughts is like the simile of by which you change your posture from a grosser posture to more subtle posture. That means you simply break it down, the process. Then again, by that way also you can abandon the unwholesome. Even still that might not work, Buddha said. If while is giving attention to stilling the thought formation of those thoughts, they are still arise in him even unwholesome thoughts. Then what you have to do is, Buddha says, then with his teeth clenched and with his tongue pressed against the roof of his mouth, he should beat down, constrain, and crush mind with mind. So this is a physical effort by which you abandon the unwholesome state. That means you have to clench your teeth, and with your tongue pressed against the roof of your mind, you arouse physical effort and you somehow abandon the unwholesome state. That is also another way, like in the time of the Buddha, even in the Buddha as a Bodhisattva, he did this. It's in the suttas, this method. And Loksansi, once I remember, he's saying that he was with a monk in the forest like 30 years or so back, and they were meditating in the dark because in the forest they were in a kuti or cave, maybe someplace. So, but they had only torches, they didn't have lights or lamps, and they were both meditating in dark. And he could see he could hear the monk sitting next to him. There was like some noise he was making in his mouth, like just the teeth scratching against each other, like when you clench the teeth. But Loksan couldn't understand what was going, and he was worried what's happening to this monk. So he used the torch and like asked, what's going on? He said, no, I subdued my mind. I tamed my mind, that monk had said. So he had used this method. And Loksan said within 5 to 10 minutes thereafter, after that date, he could attain jhanas. So he was able to tame the mind with this method. So it worked for him. Even in this time of the day, there are people who are capable of this. So imagine how it would have been in the time of the Buddha. So that monk, he was easily able to attain jhanas, and that helped him a lot in the practice. So that method worked for that person. It might still work for you. You never know. You have to put it into your own practice and try it out yourself and then decide. So the simile given here is, it is like this. Yeah. Just as a strong man might seize a weaker man by the head or shoulders and beat him down, constrain him and crush him. Who is the strong man here? Strong man is the effort you arouse. And the weak man is the defiled state. So when unwholesome states arise in you, don't be the weak person and let the unwholesome state become the stronger thing. You have to take control with your effort and wrestle down the unwholesome state. Okay, that's the meaning of the simile. So in this way, again, you can abandon the unwholesome state, and then it helps you to develop your meditation. So these are the 5 ways, no 6th way. So surely, definitively, with 5 ways, you can develop the path to the fullest extent. That means abandon all the unwholesome state and purify your mind. So because the Buddha is not there, we can't say what works for you. Only the Buddha can tell this method will work for this person. It's up to you to find out. So how do you find that? So you have to try each of these. If there arises anger or lust or any unwholesome state eating you, then you first try the first method of shifting the focus, changing the train of thoughts. That doesn't work, then you shift to the second. What is that? Focusing on the danger of harboring such thoughts. Third is, you do not pay attention to that object that gave rise to the unwholesome state. If that doesn't work, what you do? Then you still the process of thought formation, still in the thought process. If that doesn't work, then you have to try the fifth. What is that? That is to arouse this physical effort by clenching the teeth and also pressing your tongue against the roof of the mouth. Arouse effort and mindfully abandon the unwholesome state. So you have to keep at this, like experiment with these 5 ways, and after some time you can understand for yourself what works for you and what doesn't. It takes time and it takes patience, and definitely 1 or 2 methods, so one method will work for you, and keep on practicing that method and you can reap the benefits. So, and in the end of this sutta it is said, if a person practices in this way, in these 5 methods, this bhikkhu is then called a master of the causes of thought. That means you can master your mind. And it says here, he will think whatever thought he wishes to think. And he will not think any thought that he does not wish to think. He has severed craving for none of the fetters, and with the complete penetration of conceit, he has made an end of suffering. That means can totally eradicate all the suffering, and he is the master of his own mind. He can think what he want to think and not think what he does not want to think. So to that extent, you can tame your mind by these 5 methods. Okay, it's up to you to put this into practice. So like if you practice this to some extent in this life, one day you will benefit. You may not succeed this life. You might not. At least in the Devas world, then you will realize the Dhamma. So definitely there are the benefits. It's just a matter of how much you are committed to the practice. Okay, that's the sutta for today. Any questions? Are there any questions?
Bante,
Yeah.
according to this sutta, so when that unwholesome thought arises, we start with the first way and then go second, third, fourth, fifth, or we can just jump to any method, Bante, according to this sutta.
Yeah, you can try. You just approach it methodically. Like try the first way. If that's the second, third, fourth. After some time, you can find out what works for you. Can skip. Like like this is the thing that works for me. It's with your wisdom that you have to understand. For some, this it might be the first, the other, the second, third. You never know. You have to find it out for yourself. But give it some time. Just don't give up on the first option. Like keep trying for at least a week with the second, or give it time, because like all of these 5 aspects that we learn, these are not things that are familiar to our, say, like we are not used to these things, so it takes some time for them to develop within you. So keep cultivating, keep practicing. Over time you can figure out, this is the thing that works for me the most, this is what I'm good at, and keep on practicing, focusing on that method more often. So that will help you to decide what works for you. Thing is,
Thank you, Bante.
like,
Bante, so even if it was during meditation, when these arise, then you would switch your meditation to recognize, to using these methods?
yeah, it's okay. Even in meditation, like if such a state arises in your mind, you can use any 5 of these methods and abandon that non-wholesome state. Okay. Okay, no more questions, no? So we'll share merits and conclude. So may all the merits today we have acquired, myself and yourself, by listening to Dhamma, myself teaching the Dhamma. We shall share all these merits with all the Devas and the Brahmas of the world, and may they to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may also these merits be shared with all our long-lost relatives in this life and throughout the samsaric journeys. And may their life also be free of suffering, and may they have the opportunity to realize the Dhamma and be free from this samsaric journey as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may also this merit be shared with our teacher, Pingat Lokswami Hanse, and may he enjoy happiness and long life and well-being, and also realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may these merits be shared with all the monks of the Mahavina Buddhist monastery, and the Anagarisanangs and the ordination aspirants, the Upasikas and the Upasikas, and may they too realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also may these merits be shared with our parents, our teachers, our relatives, all our loved ones, and may they too have the good fortune to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may also these merits be for all of us, and may we too have the opportunity to accrue more and more merit in this life, develop our virtue, practice concentration, samadhi, develop calm and insight meditation, and gradually develop the qualities, the eight tenets of the path, and have a good rebirth in the heavenly destinations, and also realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Say with me to ask forgiveness of the triple gem. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang acchayang kamame bhante bhuri panya tathagata. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang acchayang kamame dhamma sandittika akanika. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang acchayang kamame sangha punyaketang anuttara. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now to pay respect and share merits with the Bhante, and get on your knees and repeat after me. Okasa vandami Bhante maya katam punyang samina anumoditabang samina katam punyang mahyanda tabang sadhu sadhu anumodami okasa dwaratina katam sabbang achyang kamatami Bhante dutiyampi okasa kamami Bhante tatiyampi okasa kamami Bhante. May you all have the good fortune to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya Bhante.
Buddha Bhante. Thank you,
Buddhaya
Bhante.
Bhante.
Thank you so much.